college football source? We were talking about Urban Meyer. Could you see Urban Meyer going back into coaching? You know what my source said? Paulie's onto something with Nebraska.
Whoa, bloop.
Welcome back to Big Red Rant, everyone. We truly didn't have any plans to make any more videos before this North Dakota game. However, we'd like to specify at the beginning of this that I don't expect this to happen anytime soon or necessarily at all. It's just gaining momentum, as Dan Patrick is not a small fish in the sports media world. So if he's talking about it and saying that he's got a source saying it's possible, or behind the scenes things might be moving in that direction if Scott Frost fails, I think it's worth talking about. Gary, do you think that it's completely outside the possibility?
Look, initially I want to say yes, but and we'll get into this as the realness of Frost being fired evolves throughout the season. I don't know who Nebraska thinks they're getting. I don't know who they would get. I don't think that Trev Alberts would hire somebody with something like that on them. But in my opinion, if you can get a guy like that for the sake of wins, then yes, I think there's going to be a lot of people that aren't proud to say it, but are on board with getting that. So yes, I could see that growing legs, even though I don't think it's a real possibility.
First, take a look at the conversation that led up to that.
Yes, Paul.
I'll throw out a team that's been down for quite a while, but has a great reputation. Urban Meyer, no one considers him tainted as a college football coach, right? He always won as a college coach, Urban Meyer.
Oh, Urban Meyer.
Yes, Urban Meyer, not Gruden.
Yeah.
It seems like his career as a college coach is impeccable.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Fame, college
If
coach.
Nebraska football called, or would Nebraska football consider calling? All right, you can afford to hire a guy with baggage. You can't afford to keep losing in college football. Yeah. Mississippi State hired Mike Leach. It's working okay. Lots of guys get second chances. Iona hired Rick Pitino. Guess what happened? They started winning.
Yeah.
If I'm Nebraska, I'm like, well, what do I want to go 3-6 or 3-8, or do I want to have a tough press conference?
It comes down to, can you look the other way a lot of times? Because what Urban got away with at Florida, really inexcusable.
The part of that stands out to me is the Mike Leach part, because I remember vividly him being disgraced. They made it look like he was running Abu Ghraib in that locker room at Texas Tech. So as far as being disgraced go, I don't know that Urban Meyer is going to have a worse time. Although it was sexual, he was cheating on his wife-ish. Not necessarily cheating, but, working down the road to cheating. So Gary, given everything that's occurred with him in the last year or two, if Frost continues to fail, if Frost clearly does not achieve his goals that he's set, that we all expect, which is a winning season and a bowl win, maybe just a bowl win.
We're going to have a winning season if you're going to get to a bowl.
Don't get smart.
Apologies.
What is your attitude towards Urban Meyer replacing him?
If Urban Meyer qualifies through the NCAA to coach, that is the number one pick I would take over anybody else if Frost left. And I don't care. I mean, put your hate comments below. I don't care what anybody thinks or what anybody has done. If somebody qualifies under the rules and regulations to coach, and they have 3 titles at 2 different schools, they've turned 2 non-D1 schools into winning schools that go to bowl games against big name schools, I'll take that. Nebraska's not in a position to sit back and play. Give us the best of all the unicorns. Give us the guy who's holier than thou, who's a model citizen and can get the most out of his players and can cheat, recruit without getting caught, and get the best of the best and win games and compete for and win titles. I'll take that dude. Nebraska's not getting that, right? This whole thing, and I know I'm going to get torched because he's a horrible person. He goes to schools, and as soon as the well starts to run dry, he has a heart condition, or he cares about his family and wants to do his thing. Great, dude. Come here for 3 years while you feel good and your family doesn't have anything going, and then leave the second your heart starts skipping beats and your kids have shit going on that you want to go see. I don't care, man. I'm tired of replacing coaches with coaches that we hope will be good. I'll be ecstatic if I find out we're getting a guy who is going to do whatever he needs to do to make us win now. And then if he leaves, then he leaves. We'll deal with that when it happens.
Don't you feel like the good people of Duval County said the exact same thing?
I don't know where Duval County is.
Jacksonville.
All right. Nick Saban couldn't cut it in the NFL. Would you take Nick Saban tomorrow? Now, granted, Nick Saban doesn't come with the baggage that Urban Meyer comes with, but Urban Meyer comes with more championships than every coach we've had since Tom Osborne. So I don't care, man. And I know how that sounds, and I don't mean to be an asshole. I don't care how that sounds. If we're going to keep bouncing from coach to coach, let's finally bring in a coach that we know is going to win, right? We've had players, and we heard the article before the Ireland game from the Irish New York sports writer guy. We've had players that have been less than upstanding citizens. And Nebraska fans always seem to kind of find a way to turn their head when it comes to that. And I'm not saying they're okay with it, but it comes to a point like take Washington, for example. Who knows what was right or what was wrong in that? We heard what we heard. They kicked him off the team and he left and he's playing somewhere else. And I don't even know what came from that. The Lawrence Phillips thing, right? He had multiple things happen while he was here. From what I understand, I was pretty young at the time. From what I understand, Osborne basically told him, dude, go pro early because of it was kind of your stock is never going to be higher type of thing. And also there was a good feel of I don't know how much I can sweep under the rug for you type of thing. Since then, he ran some kids over here after his career was done. He ran some kids over in his car because there was some shit talking going on after a pickup football game. And he ended up in prison and unfortunately he passed away in prison. We've had lots of things. The Baldwin thing. I mean, there's been multiple things with players that it just comes down to, man, not every single person or personality represents your program. And I understand a head coach basically is that, but if he's doing things that make people uneasy or they don't like, or it's kind of gross or he's creepy or whatever else, but he's still meeting the standards to be able to be allowed to coach. I mean, the dude's he's not facing jail or prison time. He didn't leave the NCAA because, and he wasn't forced into coaching in the pros because he was going to be banned or serve a huge, suspension or whatnot from the NCAA. You don't have to like the dude, right? Mike Riley was incredibly likable. Everybody loved Scott Frost and wanted him in here. I'm just saying, to other Husker fans, pick something, right? You're not the 90s Huskers anymore. All right, so let's get that out of our heads. Do you want a good old aw shucks Nebraska guy and you get what we have now and what we've had for years? Or do you want somebody that knows how to win football games, that knows how to recruit, who knows how to dot the T's and cross the I's and get through the loopholes and do everything else to flirt right on the edge of maybe not doing things with the highest of standards, but being able to skate under the radar, which is what most of these other teams are doing. I hate to break it to Alabama and Clemson and Oklahoma and soon to be USC fans, but do you want a guy that can compete in that world and maybe doesn't make everybody feel warm and fuzzy? Or do you want to keep getting these good guys that you would like to have date your daughter, invite over to Thanksgiving dinner, and continue to have losing seasons and miss bowl games?
I want to specify. I personally, because I told you that I was apprehensive about this. Yeah. All right. So I'm apprehensive for a few reasons. Number one, I don't want Scott Frost out of here unless it's completely necessary. Now, he took the first step of making it necessary, in my opinion. He got me off of the feeling that I don't want him to leave pretty much no matter what. Now I'm willing to listen to, hey, maybe we have to get rid of him this year if things don't pan out. My other reason is not so much the bar stuff with the chick.
Finger blasting, go ahead.
Not the finger blasting.
Right.
I'm more worried about the finger blasting that the Jacksonville Jaguars took when he was the coach. I don't know for sure that he's going to be that coach anymore because the Jacksonville Jaguars situation with him made me feel like he kind of checked out from coaching and he was just there collecting a check. I'm nervous that he'll come to Nebraska. Obviously, he has no ties to us. He doesn't care. He's lived in, fancier places than Lincoln. Why, who's to say he's not just going to collect a check and cash out We're going to suck like the Jags.
I mean, there's a lot in there to unpack. I would say he can't manipulate the NFL like he can manipulate college football, number one, to the beginning of what you were saying. He realized that he's not, I don't know that he realized this. I think maybe the rest of the world realized it. And I feel like I honestly think he did realize it. And that's why he checked out and eventually left, is that he's not this mythical coach, right? He's this mythical college coach, kind of like Pete Carroll was, right? They know how to do things. Like, there's really good businessmen that live like you and I. And then there's pretty good businessmen that know how to dodge taxes and know how to claim everything and write off everything and do whatever else, that are heads of corporations and multimillionaires or billionaires, right? He's, in my mind, he's that guy. He's that category. When you don't have the option or the opportunity to do that in the NFL, you find out real quick, oh shit, I'm restricted to this game. I'm restricted to these rules. I can manipulate these rules, but those rules don't carry over to the next level. That's what Saban ran into. Imagine if Alabama went, nah, man, we didn't like the way you handled the Miami thing. We're not picking you up. Now, I don't think he's Saban, right? I think he's a 3 to 5 year coach tops. And then either he knows he's about to get caught, he knows the wells run dry recruiting wise, whatever it is, and he bounces. That's what he's done at every school. But I'm just saying that you don't have to like a guy to acknowledge what they're good at. And he's very good at coaching college football. He's very good at recruiting college football. So, I mean, if we're going to get rid of Scott Frost, which most people, I think, at this point want that to happen, I don't like Urban Meyer at all. I don't like anything about the dude. But if we're going to get rid of Scott Frost, the barrel that we're going to get to pick from is going to be bare, right? So, like, if with that, you're going to throw in a guy who has titles at multiple schools and has done it at every level of college that he's been at, yeah, I'll take that dude. I will take that dude to build this program up to being at least a Big Ten contender.
And that's the thing I do like about him, Gary. I do like that he's already had success in the Big Ten.
He's had success everywhere.
But also
he's had
the Big
success
Ten.
in the SEC. And the SEC.
Scott Frost is getting his ass whooped by the Big Ten. Like, Scott Frost clearly does not comprehend the foundation of Big Ten football. He is still bringing in flashy skill players.
Pac-12 like.
And it's getting us cremated on Saturdays.
And back to Urban Meyer. I don't like the dude. I don't like the things that people don't like about him. I didn't like him before that, right? So, and we could get into that some other time. This to me isn't a discussion of do we like or dislike Urban Meyer. It's how much would or would not Urban Meyer help this program. And maybe we don't compete for a title, but we compete for some Big Ten titles. And then when he has a heart issue or his kids matter to him again, or whatever the situation is, he gets in trouble because some assistant is beating his wife and texting him about it. He's not, whatever all of the flaws he has are, if they come to light at Nebraska, but he has taken us from a 3 and whatever team, a 4 and whatever team, up to a consistent bowl contending to, or bowl team / competing, especially in the West, man. Like, how hard is it? You go back and look, it's Northwestern and Wisconsin. As much as people want to talk about Iowa and Minnesota and things like that, they're not competing for Big Ten titles. It's Northwestern or Wisconsin almost every year. And if he can over 3 to 5 years plug Nebraska into that and then leave, we get now all of a sudden our options for coaches opens up. We look more attractive as a place to go. We don't look like a place that's just cycling through coaches nonstop, because he'll leave. He'll leave on his terms. He won't leave because we boot him out. And then all of a sudden now we kind of have our pick of the litter, so to speak. But even if it's not high end, like cream of the crop pick of the litter, you're looking at a Big Ten contender program that's bringing a coach in. You know what I mean? Like, think of it if you would have brought Scott Frost into that scenario, or a guy like that. Say then you decide to go get a younger guy and bring him in. That's the big flashy upcoming guy, and you bring him in, kind of like Ryan Day. You bring him in to replace Urban Meyer at a program that has competed for the Big Ten for the last however many years. That recruiting base is there. That national prestige is there. Every year when the season starts, you're already in the top 10 or 15 just because of what you did in previous years. It doesn't matter if you're going through a new quarterback or a new system change or whatever else. Like, you're a perennial top tier team that other coaches are going to want to come to. We're not that now. I'm telling you right now, you bring anybody else in besides Urban Meyer, I hope they can build from scratch. I hope they can do what Urban Meyer did at Bowling Green or Utah, or what some of these other coaches, what Scott Frost did at UCF. Because, I mean, he obviously couldn't transfer that to here. But who are you going to find that's going to do that?
So this is the interesting part where y'all comment at the bottom and murder Gary for his opinions. But for real, tell us what you guys think. Would you replace, if it came to it, of course, Frost with Urban Meyer? If he's going to get canned, is this a guy who you would want to come in? I'm reluctant, but I probably am swayed by Gary that I would do it too.
Don't just say no. Tell me no and who you would get. Everybody has these aspirations that we're just going to get this great Nebraska, and I don't mean from Nebraska, but that type of a person that's going to walk in the door and turn the whole program around. Like, who is that guy? And why would they want to come here after 20 years of regression? That's why I say, yes, I would take Urban Meyer. I feel like we're that desperate to get some life support from something. I could be swayed. I would say no if somebody threw out a name that was a realistic possibility that we could get that could turn the program around. I just don't see those two things in one person as a realistic possibility for here. So change my mind. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm like the table with the banner hanging in front. I would take Urban Meyer as the next Nebraska coach. Change my mind type of deal.
Change his mind in the comments, folks. We'll see you guys after the game. Until then, go Big Red.